everyone, and welcome to Gruff Talk, where each week we take a deep dive into all the ways we can feel better, look better, live better, and age better. I'm your host, Barbara Hannah Grufferman. Do you have questions about how to age better? Of course you do. We all do. Send your questions to me at grufftalkpodcast@gmail.com, and I'll do my very best to get the answers. Today, I'm flying solo, so to speak, talking about things that you all have sent in to me about what's causing you a lot of angst and sometimes grief as you get older. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let me just say this to you. Stop right now. We are amazingly fabulous, beautiful, delightful, and smart. We can take on anything. Maybe not everything, but anything. All you need is the right information. There's a really great quote from Yoko Ono, who I think has aged really well. She wrote, "Women are put in a position of feeling embarrassed about their bodies, really all through life. It's so ridiculous, but also astounding." You know, that's what I want to talk about. You know, those things that you worry about, but you don't want to talk about, not even with your best buddies or your doctor or your partner, those things you stress about and possibly even lose sleep over. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. I decided that that's what I wanted to talk about with all of you because I get a lot of emails from you and you want me to talk about these topics, these things that are happening to your bodies and your lives as you're going on in life. Things change, and that's something we all have to remember. Things change. Change is probably the best word to use to describe midlife and beyond, starting with menopause. It's just, that's why they call it the change. But anyway, that's what we're going to talk about today. And why don't we want to talk about a lot of these things? Some of these, things that you've emailed me about. Well, two good reasons come to mind. Either they make us feel embarrassed or they make us think the age word. Yeah, aging. So let's stop the drama and start the discussion. Yes, our bodies change as we get older. Okay, yes, it's normal. Most of these changes are no big deal, but sometimes they can throw us for a loop, making us feel like we're all alone. No one else is experiencing this but me. And we wonder, why me? But don't, because you're not alone. We're all in this together. And the more we talk about these things, the better off we'll all be. Some of these taboo topics might require a chat with a doctor or a good old-fashioned tete-a-tete with a close friend. But all of them demand an honest and loving talk with the most important person in your life, you. Yes, you. Make a habit of tackling your problems head on. Don't put them under the rug. And keep this in mind. Even the most frustrating problem has a solution, although you might have to take it in maybe a few small steps. But these steps are worth taking because your best life is just beginning. I know this. I believe this with my heart of hearts. So don't let a few inconvenient truths get in the way of enjoying it. So let's talk about a few of these things I've heard about from all of you. In no particular order, by the way, everyone. Instead of pretending like you hear everything, like, oh yeah, I heard what you just said. Get your hearing tested. Hearing loss is on the rise. Maybe from all those rock concerts over the years, who knows? But if you need a hearing aid, get one, and get one now, and get back to your life. The newer devices are better and much more discreet than ever. And the longer you wait, the harder problems will be to treat. And studies also show that not being able to hear well is a major risk for developing dementia. You don't want that. Besides, you'll be in really good company. Jodie Foster, Rob Lowe, Halle Berry, and even Pete Townsend are among the many celebs who wear very well-hidden hearing aids. Yeah, it's true. Okay, here's another one. And this was a big thing for me when I was Oh God, I was only in my 40s. But instead of squinting at print that seems to get smaller and smaller and smaller, get an eye exam. Then go buy yourself a really cool pair of readers and make them a fashion statement. That's what I try to do. If you already wear prescription glasses or contacts for distance, well, consider getting like a progressive lens to bring everything back into focus. But don't be embarrassed about pulling out a pair of readers to read the menu. I just don't get that. Don't do that. Okay, instead of, I heard this from quite a few people, more about their husbands or partners, instead of denying that you snore, see a sleep specialist. Snoring can be caused by many, many things, including sleep apnea, medication, too much alcohol, too. It's true that people tend to snore more often and more loudly as they get older, but there's usually a cause. So get it checked and get it fixed, and you will sleep more soundly, too. And if it's happening to someone else in your life, well, encourage that person to get it checked. So this is a big one because it can also make us very, very nervous. But instead of getting flustered when you lose your keys, your glasses, or you forget someone's name, right? You've just seen someone and God, you can't remember that person's name. Practice memory tricks. Like put your keys in the same place every day. Designate a landing pad for your glasses and your purse and wallet, and try to associate a person's name with something else to make it easier to remember. If you have frequent episodes of brain fog, maybe see a doctor. Memory lapses can be caused by many things like medications, stress, lack of sleep, very consistently lack of sleep, or even a vitamin B12 deficiency, and, drum roll, menopause. Of course, you've all heard of brain fog with menopause. It's a real thing. Don't ignore it. If you have particular trouble remembering names or other things that you've been told, get your hearing checked. Yeah, we already covered that one, but this is like a reminder, get your hearing checked. Most importantly, to keep your brain sharp for the long term, be sure to exercise daily. You just want to make sure of that. This is also a huge one, especially for women. Instead of feeling blue if your kids have flown the coop because they've graduated or they're in college and then they're going on to their real adult lives, take this opportunity to find out who you are. Turn this new phase of your life into an opportunity to experience the world without kids. Maybe become reacquainted with your partner, or if you're single, maybe have this be a great opportunity to get out there and explore other, dates. Dates would be nice. Besides, with video chats, email, and texting, no one is ever that far away. Look, we get it. You will miss them. But it's not as though they're going away. They're just moving on to a whole different phase of life, as are you. So this one's not such a big deal for a lot of you, but I wanted to bring it up. Instead of feeling embarrassed that you're not current with the latest technology, although I really don't think that's so true anymore since everyone seems to be using some kind of technology now. But if you do feel like you're a little behind, just take a class. It's so easy. Community colleges, public libraries, and certainly the tech stores like Apple stores often offer classes in basic computer and smartphone skills. And there are books and online tutorials on YouTube for sure on almost any tech topic. That's how I learn. I have taught myself every single thing that I do. And believe me, it is not perfect by any means. I still could do it so much better. But that's how I've learned. I've been going onto YouTube, or hire a high school or college student to teach you the ropes. Maybe you have a tech guru in your own house. Drop the ego and ask for help, right? Once you have a better understanding of how technology works, you can use it to stay more engaged and connected with your world. Hey, we just talked about how maybe your kids have flown the coop. Well, maybe this is another way to connect with that kid or your kids, is to reach out and ask for help about technology. Just a thought. So this is a really big issue that causes a great deal of embarrassment, angst, and putting the blanket over the head. And it's big. Instead of avoiding exercise, sex, long movies, belly laughs, a lot of fun things in life because you're worried about a leaky bladder, find out why it's happening. Listen to this, everyone. More than 40% of women over 40 have a sensitive bladder, which can lead to leaks. And you might just be one of those people. And women are much more prone to leakage if they're overweight, have had babies, or have gone through menopause. Addressing the cause of your leaks is important in reducing them. So visit your doctor at the first signs of trouble. In order to reduce the risk, get in the habit of emptying your bladder more often and doing Kegel exercises. That's where you squeeze those muscles, almost like you're holding in, urine for 10 to 20 seconds every day to strengthen the pelvic floor muscles. And there are also medications available and even laser treatments, but all of that must be discussed with your healthcare provider. So if you're having problems, make sure you always wear the right protection, liners, pads, disposable underwear, things like that, specifically geared to bladder leaks so you can keep on living your life. But do get it checked out. Do not be embarrassed. It is common. You heard that stat. Over 40% of women over 40, okay? Not alone. After this short break, we'll finish going through the list of some of the top things you don't like talking about. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back with a few things I call the untalkables, topics we don't really talk about, but should. So a lot of women sent in emails about this, I've got less hair on my head and, much more on my face, right? Like this is a thing and it's all hormonal. And again, don't be embarrassed because there are things you can do about it. So instead of freaking out about facial hairs, get out your tweezers, right? Ever wonder why someone didn't tell you there was a long dark hair growing out of your chin? Because they won't. But the odds of sprouting an occasional facial hair go up after menopause. It just is a fact. So mount that magnifying mirror next to a good light and double check it before you head out the door. If the problem gets worse, you can wax, there's electrolysis, there's even laser hair removal. So again, this is one of those issues that has an easy solution. I know it's embarrassing, but don't freak out about it. Just deal with it. This is something else too. I got an email about this. What's the new best thing to deal with this? But instead of hiding your hands because of brown spots, lighten them up. The gold standard for skin bleaching is going to your dermatologist and getting hydroquinone, a chemical skin lightener that is generally safe and very, very effective. However, in rare cases, it can actually create dark spots on the skin. So discuss it with your dermatologist or consider other techniques like lasers. And remember to always put sunscreen on the tops of your hands and also on your earlobes. People forget these places. On the tops of your hands before you head outside all year long. I mean, you put it on your face, put a little bit on your earlobes and around your ears, and definitely on the tops of your hands to prevent more spots from cropping up. Oh, yeah. This happens not to a lot of women, but when it does, it's really horrible for them. Instead of stealing your teenager's acne ointment, take care of your adult skin, right? So the good news is that as we age, the likelihood of suffering an acne outbreak is greatly reduced. Still, adult acne affects as many as 10% of menopausal women. So menopausal acne, which is also called adult onset acne, is often deeper than the adolescent variety and tends to show up along the jawline and the chin rather than in that kind of more traditional T-zone. And it's usually hereditary, but it can be triggered by stress, certain makeup, or skincare products. So So if you're breaking out a lot, be sure that everything you put on your face is labeled does not clog pores. That's super, super important. And keep stress under control with good time management, regular exercise, mindfulness practices, and so on. And of course, eat a healthy diet without a lot of excess salt, sugar, or fat, which is something we should be doing anyway, and drink plenty of water to help flush out the toxins that can upset your skin. But of course, if it doesn't clear up, a dermatologist can help treat it with topical medications matched to your specific skin conditions and type. So again, it has a solution. So this is one that's definitely in the category of embarrassing. Instead of worrying about gas and bloating, eat more fiber. Yeah, I mean, gas. Our bodies digest, why is this happening? Our bodies digest food more slowly as we get older, which causes acid reflux, constipation, bloating, and that really embarrassing thing. Should we use the fancy word? Flatulence, right? Gas. Easiest fix? It's kind of simple. Eat more fiber and drink more water to keep things moving along, right? I mean, just kind of picture that. You've got to keep it all going. However, adding too much fiber too fast can actually make the problem worse. So instead of piling on the Metamucil or something like that, start incorporating more vegetables and beans into your diet a little at a time. And here's another tip. Eat at regular intervals. Eat more slowly. And studies have shown that sipping hot ginger or mint tea after your meals can help too. And sometimes even just sipping hot water can help. So if all these tips fail, definitely pay a visit to a gastroenterologist, an expert, to suss out the issues. All right, this is a huge one. In fact, I am going to be having an episode focused on just this with a really great medical expert, and that's coming up in a couple of weeks. But instead of hiding thinning hair under a baseball cap, stop thinning in its tracks. Now, you can't easily grow back hair, but you may be able to stop it or reduce the thinning, okay? There are things to do. First, you have to start with your dermatologist to find out what is the underlying cause, and then discuss some of the treatments like Rogaine. There's even Latisse, the stuff that you can put on your to build out your eyelashes, and other prescription strength remedies. But there's also been a lot of success in recent years with PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma, which is basically blood taken from your arm, put through a centrifuge, and then injected back into your scalp. Believe it or not, I had great success with PRP for a hip tendinosis problem. So PRP has a lot of uses for the body, and this just happens to be one of them. If your hair is already thinner than you'd like, work with your stylist to try salon tricks. Like ask friends who do they know who really works well with thinning hair. And things you can do, like using dry shampoo to make hair look fuller. And there are actually products that color your scalp the same shade as your hair, which just makes it de-emphasizes the thinning hair, the thinning scalp. And don't be afraid to try extensions or even wigs if you really are uncomfortable. You won't believe how many celebrities do. This is more of a style concern that a lot of you have, and that's about, instead of feeling like your breasts are sagging more and more, give them a lift, right? So the fact is, most women don't wear the right bra size, and it does show. Our bodies change throughout life, just like everything changes throughout life. And so do the size and shape of our breasts. So skin loses elasticity, and yes, breasts will start to sag, although how much really depends on their size and density and whether you've had children and breasts and a lot of other things. But the best thing you can do is go to a store that specializes in bras. Get measured, get fitted for new bras at least once a year, especially if you've gained or lost weight. But once a year is a great idea. It's amazing what wearing the right bra can do for confidence and just how you look and feel. Really incredible. All right, this is a This is a more serious one. You know, instead of hiding your depression, bring it into the open. Don't hide it. Research shows that from your early 50s on, happiness does, in fact, increase. But still, depression is not uncommon among women over 45 for a lot of reasons, especially for many, starting with the hormonal upheaval from menopause and major life changes, like we mentioned, kids growing up and parents aging, and maybe even if you're coming to terms with getting older. This coming to terms with this major change and evolution isn't always easy. It's something to talk about, which I've encouraged us all to do in the beginning of this episode. Anyway, it's no crime to feel down or depressed, even if you've always been the cheery, a glass is half full person. Like, that's more me. Don't let it linger, because depression can quickly overtake your life, really. So grab a girlfriend, talk it out. That doesn't lift your spirits considerably. Or if you've been feeling down for more than a few weeks, consider seeing a professional. Really consider it. The good news is mental health care is so accessible now and accepted, including via telehealth appointments. So really, there's no reason at all to not seek some help, some guidance. So I really find this to be one of probably the most important point that we've talked about today. And, instead of wondering if that second or third or fourth glass of wine is too much, probably should admit that it is, right? Medical experts agree. Women should stick with 1 glass of alcohol per day, 2 on occasion, right? Wine, particularly red wine, does have its place in the healthy diet, like the Mediterranean diet. But once you start to overdo it, all the health benefits really fade away. So take a look at whether drinking has become an unhealthy habit or a way that you relieve stress at the end of the day. And if so, make a plan to break that habit. I did an episode on making healthy habits and how to stick with them, but this is a whole different thing. This is breaking a habit. And the way to break a bad habit is to create a new habit to take its place. So one of those, first thing that comes to mind, of course, is exercise. Go take a class at night, like a Pilates class or a yoga class, or go for a long walk, or anyway, you'll figure it out. But if you think that limiting yourself to 1 drink a day is a challenge, and maybe you can even talk with a healthcare provider. So we just want you to be healthy and fit and happy. That is my big, and also confident. Like that's another huge goal of mine for you. So we covered a lot of ground today, but there's a lot more that seems to make women feel less pretty, less confident, less bold. And I really want to continue to talk about these things. I really do. It's important for all of us. You should never, ever feel embarrassed or ashamed or uncomfortable or alone about any of these things. But sometimes we are. And that's reality. And that's also okay. But I have found that the best way to move away from these negative feelings and move towards a more positive outlook is to talk about them. So let's keep talking about them. Let me know what you want to talk about next. Email me at grufftalkpodcast@gmail.com. Until then, I'm sending you a super huge hug. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode of Gruff Talk, please do 2 things. First, share it with all your friends and family, and subscribe to Gruff Talk wherever you listen to podcasts, including YouTube, so you never miss a single episode. Until next time, remember this: we can't control getting older, but we can control how we do it. Talk to you soon. Age Better Podcast is a proud member of the Sound Advice Network. Sound Advice, women's voices amplified.